The story of Crazy Joe was torn from yesterday's headlines, and it's as terrifying as tomorrow's.
Good morning. Welcome back to Crazy Joe's Concession Stand. I'm Crazy Joe. This is the dog days of podcasting, where podcast today for the entire month of August. Bunch of podcasters whom you can all find at dogdaysofpodcasting.com, where there's a mega feed. Check out that mega feed. You'll be able to hear what everybody is doing and saying during this month-long podcast extravaganza. I'm also doing it on YouTube. But yeah, I'm here with my entry for Friday, August 29th. We're coming up to the last couple days. I mean, we got Saturday and Sunday, and then we're done. We're done with this. We're putting DDOP 2025 to bed, and then maybe we do this again in August, or maybe Christmas. I mean, there's also a Dog Days of Advent. I haven't really been participating in that the last couple of years because I find I have less to say around Christmas. I don't know. But this is it. We're doing this for at least a couple more days. First of all, I want to apologize. I've been a little bit of a downer maybe the last couple of days. I've been down. Like I said yesterday, it's been a hard week for me because of things going on with the kids and a lot of external factors. And, just the fact that I'm missing Dragon Con is just that one little extra thing. It's like if that was just it, but you could put yourself in a better headspace and you're like, well, I'm not going to be there this year. It happens. It's what happens. But there's always next year or 2 years, normally you could think like that. But it's like when you're already just a little bit disappointed and then things around you are kind of like dominoes falling and you're like, it's all falling apart. That's where I've been the last couple of days. So I do want to apologize for if I've seemed a little bit more of a downer than usual. I don't usually like to be that way. But that's where we are. So I apologize. I do apologize. And we'll try to be a little bit more upbeat today than we were yesterday. Today, if you look at the subject line, I called it Pull My Finger. You may be wondering what that's in reference to. Some of our DDOP guys are in Atlanta right now. So odds are you may not be up to date. Believe it or not, it's a Star Trek reference. It is a Star Trek reference. Last night there was an episode. I won't get into too many details because I know a lot of people may not have had a chance to see it with Dragon Con going on. But there was a new episode of Strange New Worlds called 4.5 Vulcans. In it, Pike, Uhura, Lon, and Chapel are turned into Vulcans. The half Vulcan is Spock, the joke being that his human colleagues are more Vulcan than he is. This episode, we saw clips of it very early on. Like it was the first thing we saw of season 3. The first thing of season 3 that we saw were clips from this episode released at a Comic-Con months ago. Was it San Diego? I don't know. But we saw clips of this before anything else of season 3. And I'm a huge fan of Strange New Worlds. I love the show. But from the get-go, I did not like these clips. Because these are humans and they physiologically become Vulcan through the same means where Spock became human a couple seasons ago. They become full-blooded Vulcans for an assignment. Their body makeup is changed. Again, I'm not going to have spoilers here. But as we saw in the initial clip from months ago, they become very, very logical and Vulcan-like. And even their hair changes. And it just came off as stupid. Because as much of a fan of the show I am, and I'm a huge fan of the show, Vulcans are not without emotion. Vulcans do not, by nature, follow strict logic. This is training. They say Vulcan emotion is actually more intense and volatile than human emotion, and that's why they had to learn to suppress them and control them, because otherwise they'd be out of control, because that's how strong Vulcan emotions are. So when Vulcans are very, very disciplined, because that's what they are raised to be. That's how they train themselves to be. But it's not a natural thing. So when we saw these trailers and Pike and everyone immediately start acting like Vulcans, I was like, this is nonsense, because that isn't a trait that is like genetic in the Vulcan makeup. It's something they train themselves to be, and these guys wouldn't have trained themselves for that. The episode does make an attempt to explain it. It doesn't really work. Truth be told, as great a show as this is a pretty dopey episode. But the highlight of the episode, the thing that really does make this episode work, is Patton Oswalt. Patton Oswalt guest stars as a Vulcan. And Patton Oswalt, he's one of us. He's a pretty nerdy guy. You got to imagine he was having a blast playing a Vulcan on Star Trek. And he steals every scene that he's in. And that brings us to the title, Pull My Finger. I'm not going to explain it, but I am going to say this is one episode of Star Trek that's like a Marvel movie. Stay through the credits. Do yourself a favor and stay through the credits, because we almost didn't, and we would have missed out on some of the best stuff in the episode. So stay through the credits. Thursday is quickly becoming the best night of television, because Paramount Plus gives us a new episode of Strange New World, at least for a couple more weeks. There's only 10 episodes in the season, and last night was episode 8. So we really only have 2 more weeks of it. But in addition to Strange New Worlds over on Paramount Plus, HBO Max has been dropping Peacemaker, which is the season 2 of Peacemaker. And it's also a semi follow-up to Superman, in that it's the next thing we're getting in James Gunn's new DCU. Peacemaker season 2 episode 2 also aired last night. Man, what a great episode that was. I had tickets. I was going to try. I ended up canceling them. I mentioned that I went to see Annabelle Comes Home a couple nights ago. All the Conjuring films have been back in theaters, and I had tickets last night to see Conjuring: The Devil Made Me Do It, which is the third film in the Conjuring franchise. The third film in the Conjuring franchise proper, meaning the Conjuring 1, 2, 3. It's the third Conjuring film. Overall, it's like the 7th, because we're counting the spinoffs. So, the Conjuring universe gets a little confusing, but I was going to try to get out and see The Devil Made Me Do It last night. Again, I own it on 4K disc, but there's nothing like seeing it on the big screen. I just couldn't make it happen because HBO Max doesn't drop Peacemaker till 9 p.m., which means we couldn't start streaming it till 9 p.m., which took us to 10, and it was like a 10:15 showtime. And by 10:15 showtime, I mean it was a 9:45 showtime with a half hour of commercials. So it was literally going to start at 10:15. That's how it works at my Regal Cinema. You have to count a half hour, and it's pretty accurate. I'm rarely wrong. If you count about a half hour, you're good. So I'll look at the showtime and be like, okay, this is the time I have to be at the theater. So I knew I had to be at the theater by like 10:15, and Peacemaker, by the time that was over, I wasn't going to get there by 10:15, so I canceled the ticket. Not a big deal. They're showing it again next week. I'll try next week to see. I'd like to see Conjuring 3 on the big screen one more time. I just saw Part 2 on the big screen the other day. Conjuring Annabelle Comes Home, Conjuring Part 2. I went out to see those. I'd like to go see Part 3 as well. Finish it out and then go see Part 4, which opens next Friday. But it wasn't to be. I feel like I'm rambling right now, but really, I just wanted to talk today about Star Trek and say that this week's Strange New Worlds was a lot of fun because of Patton Oswalt, but it is, at the end of the day, one of the dopier episodes they've done, because this idea of them turning into Vulcans just doesn't really work. Maybe they said it's a turn your brain off and have fun type of episode, but I don't know. This one of the weaker episodes this season, were it not for Patton Oswalt. So, all right, everyone, we're going to wrap this up. 2 more days of Dog Days of Podcasting. So come back tomorrow. We're going to keep doing this until the 31st. Keep wearing those pajamas.
Keep wearing those pajamas
with the plastic feet.
Keep wearing those pajamas.
Tell everyone you need.
Keep wearing those pajamas
with the back door flap.
Keep wearing those pajamas.
Don't open it, it's a trap. Oh no, it's a trap. Some people call them bitches, some people call them jammies. They can come embroidered with big money and no whammies. They can have 100 tiny commander Adamas, but no matter how they look, just keep on wearing those pajamas.
Keep wearing those pajamas.
I know we're having fun.
Keep wearing those pajamas.
And now the song is done.